Please. No, I appreciate it. And another is definitely this strange sense of almost boredom or dissatisfaction amidst profound contentment, right?
Beautiful.
So there's this suchness that has no form, no boundaries, that is indistinguishable from this arising, that is sort of profoundly at peace, and yet there's also the character, or there's conditioning, there's attachment to suffering, there's attachment to sort of I think fantasizing about a better future in some way, some sort of pull into time. And the pull into time is sort of synonymous with a pull into the body-mind identification.
Well, it is synonymous, yeah.
Right. And that's interesting. It's sort of a wanting the cake and eating it too. It's like, I want, the sort of the bliss and contentment piece, etc., but also the fantasy at the same time, right? So there's a kind of it's like I don't want fear, but I want to keep hope.
Yeah, right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm so glad to get rid of that fear. I hope this continues.
Right, exactly. Right. Which sort of muddies the waters a little bit in terms of the experience of truth, and that's fine. It really is. I mean, to clarity, there's no such thing as an obstruction.
No problem, is there?
None at all. There's nothing that can obscure or block or anything is just an apparent apparent occlusion. But the character certainly doesn't like it so much.
Yeah, I understand it. So you bring up a great point, which ties in with what I was talking about initially, which is that what I want you to, and you said it, but I want to say it in just a very plain way, is that because we've talked to some about it, that is that the experience of boredom is boredom only arises within time.
Yeah.
And in the absence of time, there's no boredom. Trust me. Right. There is, because there's just this. And this is above. If you have anything about your true nature, you are curious. And how do you know that you're curious? Look at your minion. Look at that localized sense of attention. It's just all over the place. It doesn't need your direction. It doesn't need your permission. It doesn't need nothing. It is just all about everything. Isn't this something? And what about that? Oh, it's just always, this is, and this is this attention is your true nature. Because what is this attention? It's focused awareness. So boredom is really an experience of time that can only be had by the character. So and it's the same thing with that, the steadiness of things, is that the steadiness of things is really, when I talk about the steadiness of things, what I'm really talking about is an absence of discursive thought. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right. So that it's what Kathleen says. It's the noticing that there's no alternative. Because there is actually, this is it.
Yeah.
This is the news, is that this is it. There is only what is. And that only what is cuts off all alternatives. There's no alternative to this. Now, this may show up differently in just a moment, but it'll be this. Yes? It'll just be from a point of view. It'll still be this. There's no alternative to this until there is, at which point it's another this, if you will. You got to language it somehow. So this lack of complaint, the state of unrest is the natural state of a character. The state of unrest and complaint. If you could, instead of calling yourself Kenton DeKirby, you would more truthfully say, "Hi, my name is Complaint Department." Right? And I'm happy to meet you, except I don't like your tie.
Yep. That's about it.
Because the condition of complaint is necessary. It is the fuel of the unit.
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, it's the fuel of the character. So
a suffering engine.
A suffering engine. That's so beautiful. I love that. Yeah, perfect. I'll be stealing that. Watch for that video. Guess what I thought about, everybody? Guess what God told me? And of course, I'd be telling the truth.
That's right.
Yeah. An engine of suffering is perfect. An engine of suffering. That's what this thing. It's not just what it's for, which is because there's really no for. It's just what it is. Yeah. Yeah. But the great news here is that it's imaginary. It's optional. And no, it's not optional. It's not optional until awakening has occurred. So the idea that we go to our neighbor and say, "Look, man, it's just not that serious. None of this is real. Get over it." Or, "Don't worry. My teacher says everything counts, but nothing matters. So just, who cares? Your house is on fire." That's just not the way of it. But once we awaken, then, because what happens when we wake up? Because Fred never woke up, Kenton never woke up, Kathleen and Mike and Mark, would happen to be the ones I'm looking at up here on the top of the screen, the roll of the dice, is that none of us woke up because none of us are. So we can't wake up. This imaginary character that's doing this imaginary suffering can't wake up. What's awake here now is awakeness. And when awakeness knows, consciously, I'm awakeness, then naturally the acceptance of the fact that I am awakeness is also the immediate acceptance of all of these appearances. Why? Because they're appearances, right? Yeah. Just how they are, and they are not other than me. They don't equal me, but they are not other than me. So these appearances, if I recognize that I am awakeness, then what is it that's going to scare me? Nothing. But there is that natural unrest in the character, which occurs within awakeness and is not other than awakeness. And so we're not trying to get rid of that unrest. That unrest is perfectly welcome to be here until it's not, which may be forever. And that's fine too. I notice I've got forever.
Yeah.
So, but right now, I just notice that I am awakeness, and I don't know what this is, but I can find no complaint with it. None.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Matter of fact, I would go so far as someone said to me in a session this week that I would go so far as to say that all of this appears to be rather friendly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It seems to be rather friendly.